Imagine this. You are driving, the road is familiar, your hands turn the wheel, your foot moves from pedal to pedal, you change lanes, check mirrors, respond to traffic lights. Perhaps you are thinking about something that happened earlier or a conversation you might have later, or perhaps you are not thinking at all. You arrive, you park, you step out, and only then, if at all, there is a faint, disturbing question. Who was driving? Not the physical answer, not the automatic. It was me, of course. I am speaking of something far more unsettling. During those minutes, that piece of your life, who was present, who saw, who decided. You live like this not only in the car, but in almost everything. You wake up, but you do not awaken. Your body rises, your hands reach for devices, patterns unfold. You move through rooms, through conversations, through digital worlds, through food and noise and sleep, exactly as a machine obeying an unseen design. And yet, inside this machinery, there is one who calls itself I and believes it is the master. I am speaking now to that one. You believe you are awake. You are so sure of it that the very suggestion that you are not seems offensive, almost insulting. And yet, if I pose a simple demand right now, at this moment, stay present unbrokenly for even one full minute, you will discover that you cannot. Your attention will fracture, drift, slide away, as if pulled by invisible wires. This is the first truth you must allow to pierce you. You live in waking sleep. You function, you work, you speak, you argue, you desire, you pursue, you remember and plan. But this functioning, sophisticated as it may seem, is almost entirely mechanical. Reactions triggering reactions, habits calling forth more habits, old impressions being replayed as if on hidden reels. You are convinced you are choosing, while in reality, your choices are chose, and for you by a long chain of implanted patterns. You do not yet know what it means to be present. Look at your day, not in theory. In fact, you wake. Perhaps you reach for your phone. Already your nervous system is invaded by images, messages, impulses. You do not choose your first thoughts. They arrive. You begin to think about what you must do, what you fear, what you resent. Your body stands, walks, performs a ritual of washing, dressing. You may glance at yourself in a mirror, but you do not actually see the one who is looking. At breakfast, your hand carries food to your mouth. You chew, you swallow. Were you there, even for 5 consecutive breaths? You go to work. You answer messages, follow procedures, pretend interests, suppress irritations, rehearse polite phrases. You feel a vague anxiety, a mild boredom, a sudden burst of irritation, a momentary excitement. They come and go like waves. You are used to this. You call it my day. But tell me, at which moments did you consciously experience yourself? Do not give me theories. Do not say, I was there, I remember. Memory is not proof of presence. Memory is a recording of impressions in the machinery. Later, you may choose to speak if something truly needs to be addressed, but the automatic discharge of negativity will be restrained. If you habitually reach for your device at every lull, choose one specific hour to abstain. During that hour, you will sit with your restlessness and observe it. These are not dramatic acts no one outside may notice, but inside, if you carry them out with sincerity and attention, they will create shocks. They will show you the strength of your habits, the depth of your sleep, the resistance of your personality, and the small but real possibility of another way. Do not discuss these efforts with people who cannot understand. Do not seek approval or admiration for them. This would only feed your personality. Let your work be inward, quiet, exacting. Over time, if you continue, you will need more guidance, more structure, more help from others who are also working. Alone, you can begin, but you cannot go all the way. Still, the beginning is essential. Without your own efforts, no help would have any meaning. I am not here to comfort you. I am not here to give you pleasant philosophies. I am here in this moment as the voice of something beyond your ordinary self, telling you the truth of your condition and the possibility that stands before you. You are a sleeping being, living in a waking dream, identifying with a false personality built from borrowed fragments, moved by a multitude of conflicting eyes, governed by unbalanced centers, feeding forces you do not see. but you are also something else. You are a potential instrument of a higher consciousness. You are capable of remembering yourself, of harmonizing your centers, of bearing intentional suffering, of participating in a greater order. Between these two possibilities, mechanical life and conscious life, you now stand. No one can choose for you. You may leave this as an interest. Ting idea and continue your trance. Or you may take a step, a real practical step, into the unknown territory of inner work. If you choose the second, know that it will cost you your illusions, your comfort, and your automatic self-image. It will demand honesty, courage, and persistence. It will bring you face to face with your weakness and your greatness. But it is the only work worthy of the fleeting, precious time you have been given on this earth. So I will ask you, not politely, but with the full weight of what I see, will you continue to be lived by your sleep? Or will you begin today in this ordinary hour to awaken? The question is more radical. How often in the last 24 hours were you fully aware simultaneously of your thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations, and of the fact that you were aware? You cannot answer because you have never thought to observe. You live as if in a trance, convinced that you are free, while your reactions decide everything in your name. A tone of voice, a facial expression, a number in your bank account, a notification on a screen. These small vibrations move you like strings move a puppet. You call all this my life. You say I easily, constantly. I think, I feel, I want, I don't want. This word is the most abused word in your vocabulary. Listen carefully. The you who says I does not exist as a single unified being. Inside you there is not one I, but a crowd. One I wants to change, another I resists. One I makes a promise, another I breaks it. One I loves discipline, another I worships comfort. One I believes in justice, another I is ready to compromise everything for advantage. Each one of these speaks in the language of I as if it were the whole of you, and you believe each one in turn. This is why you are so easily divided, so easily manipulated, so easily thrown from one extreme to another. You do not have a stable center of gravity. You have not built a real I. Instead, you are a shifting battleground of fragments. Examine your history. How many resolutions have you made? I will wake up early and exercise. I will stop talking to this person. I will not lose my temper. I will study something new every day. You believed the I that made the vow. It was sincere in that moment. Then another moment came with another mood, another interest, another fear. A different I appeared with different desires, and you accepted it just as unquestioningly. The vow was weakened, then forgotten, and explained away. You call this inconsistency. I call it inner multiplicity. This multiplicity is organized around something you cherish and protect, your personality. Your personality is the mask that speaks in you. It was assembled over years from the voices of your parents, your culture, your education, your fears, your desires to be liked, your avoidance of pain. It is not false in the sense of being unreal. It exists, but it is false in the sense that it is not the deepest truth of you. It is a costume stitched from borrowed cloth. This personality is always busy. It reacts, it defends, it justifies, it blames, it boasts, it explains. It tells stories about who you are, what you are capable of, what is possible and what is not. When something threatens its picture of itself, it feels shame, anger, indignation. It will do almost anything to keep its narrative intact. And so when a voice appears that says, you are asleep, you are not one, you are not what you think, this personality feels attacked. It rushes to protect itself. It may agree superficially, saying, yes, yes, I know I am not perfect, while secretly smoothing itself back into place. Or it may fight, dismiss, mock, or flee. Understand this, your personality is not your enemy. It is a necessary formation, but as long as you are identified with it, as long as you mistake it for your true self, you remain captive in waking sleep. Beneath this personality, deeper in you, there is something else, something quieter, more real, more vulnerable, and at the same time more incorruptible. Call it essence, if you like, a seed of being, almost forgotten. It is this essence that feels the faint pain when you realize you are living mechanically. It is this essence that hears truth and is pierced. It is this essence that could grow into a higher self, a real I, but it is suffocated under layers of automation. To begin to free this essence, you must first see your machinery. You are not a vague soul floating in space. You are an organism with specific inner structures. I will speak to you about 3 of them now. Your centers. There is in you an intellectual center. It functions with thoughts, concepts, images, associations, comparisons. It builds theories, calculates outcomes, repeats phrases. It is useful, necessary, but unobserved, it becomes a tyrant or a slave to irrelevant associations. There is in you an emotional center. It feels joy, sadness, anger, fear, envy, love, hatred, compassion. It responds with instantaneous likes and dislikes, moods, attractions, repulsions. It colors your world silently and swiftly. Often you do not see the emotion itself. You only see its consequences. There is in you a moving instinctive center. It governs your posture, gestures, habits, reflexes, appetites, tensions, sexual impulses, automatic skills, the way you write, the way you walk, the way your face hardens when you disagree. It is extraordinarily intelligent, but not in concepts, in movement, in sensation, in economy of effort. In your present state, these centers are not harmonized. They work at odds, or one dominates the others. Perhaps your intellectual center is overactive, spinning in worries, calculations, and endless commentary, while your body is tense and your heart is numb. Perhaps your emotional center is overexcited, jerking you from elation to despair, while your thinking serves only to justify these mood swings. Perhaps your moving instinctive center runs your life with habits, cravings, and avoidance of discomfort, while intellect and emotion are dragged behind it. The result is imbalance, suffering, confusion. The work I am describing is the harmonization of these centers under a new organizing principle, conscious presence. This is not an idea, it is a practical possibility, but it requires a discipline you have never been taught. The first step is self-observation, not analysis, not judgment, observation. Right now, as you hear these words, notice your body. How are you sitting or standing? Where is your weight? What muscles are unnecessarily tense? Notice your breathing. Is it shallow, deep, held, jittery? Notice what your face is doing, what your hands are doing. At the same time, notice your thoughts. Are you agreeing, disagreeing, remembering something, drifting away, wondering how long this will last? Listen to the movement of your intellect as if it were a separate mechanism, which in fact it is. At the same time, notice your emotions. What are you feeling toward this voice? Curiosity, resistance, fear, boredom, hope, defiance. Try to name the state without merging with it. There is resistance. There is curiosity. There is doubt. Do this now for several breaths, and you will see how difficult it is to maintain all 3, body, thought, and feeling, in awareness at once. Very quickly you will be captured by one. A thought will carry you away, a sensation will distract you, an emotion will flood your field. This difficulty is not a failure, it is a revelation. It shows you your present level of being. If you are sincere, this realization will be painful, it will hurt your pride, it will disturb your assumption that you are in control. Good, this pain is necessary. Without it, you will never have the force to work. Self-observation must become a discipline for you, not an occasional curiosity. For a single day, try to observe yourself as often as possible. Not in order to improve, not in order to judge, but simply to see. Watch your speech, how much of it is unnecessary, automatic, designed to fill silence, to show off, to complain. Watch your gestures, how often you fidget, scratch, adjust, check. Watch your emotional reactions, how quickly irritation appears, how easily you take offense, how readily you criticize inwardly. Watch your thinking, how it runs in circles, repeats stories, rehearses imaginary conversations. You will discover you cannot remember to observe for long. You will forget again and again. You will wake up for a moment, then fall back into the stream. You will promise yourself that you will remember, and then hours later you will realize you forgot. Here you meet the fact of waking sleep, not as an idea, but as undeniable experience. And so alongside self-observation, there is another practice, more difficult, more essential, self-remembering. Self-remembering is the act of being present to yourself in the moment of experience. It is to say silently, not as words but as a fact, I am here, not I the personality with all my stories, but I the awareness in which all of this is appearing. Try now, while listening, to sense yourself from within. Feel your body from head to toe. At the same time, be aware of the space around you, the room, the sounds, the light, and within this, affirm inwardly, I am. Do not imagine the words glowing in your mind. Do not create a picture. Simply hold the fact of your presence. If you manage it even for a second, something subtle shifts. There is a slight separation between you and your mechanical processes. Your thoughts, emotions, and sensations continue, but there is also a witness, quiet, unmoved, seeing. This witness is not yet the higher self, but it is related to it. It is a doorway. Self-remembering is a radical interruption of your sleep. It is as if in the middle of a dream, you suddenly realize this is a dream, and for a moment you are free. But then the dream pulls you back. To remain awake requires intentional effort. Intentional effort is not the same as ordinary effort. Ordinary effort is driven by mechanical desires, to get something, to avoid something, to be admired, to secure comfort. Intentional effort is effort made in the service of awakening. It often goes directly against your automatic tendencies. When you resist a habit consciously, without running away, without collapsing into self-hatred, you engage in intentional suffering. This phrase may disturb you because you have been conditioned to seek only pleasure, comfort, and quick relief. You think that any suffering is bad and any escape from suffering is good. But there is a difference between unnecessary suffering and intentional suffering. Unnecessary suffering is what fills your life now. Anxiety without purpose, resentment without action, guilt without transformation, jealousy without insight, shame without learning. It is the spinning of the machine against itself. Intentional suffering is entirely different. It is the voluntary acceptance of friction in order to burn away mechanical patterns. When you stay present in the face of inner discomfort, a craving, an insult, a fear, without acting it out and without escaping into distraction, you create a fire in which something false can be dissolved and something real can be strengthened. For example, you habitually reach for your device whenever you feel the slightest boredom or discomfort. This is an automatic response. If you decide, as an experiment, to endure the discomfort consciously, to feel the restlessness, the urge, the agitation without obeying, you will feel a kind of inner pain. Stay present with it. Observe your thoughts. Just this once. It doesn't matter. Why am I doing this? Observe your emotions, irritation, anxiety, perhaps even fear. Observe your bodily sensations, tension, heat, tightness in the chest or stomach. Do not soothe yourself with pain. The fantasies or self-congratulation. Simply remain as a witness to the storm without moving. This is intentional suffering. It strengthens the possibility of a real will in you. There is another form of intentional suffering, restraining your tongue when you are eager to express negative emotion. You feel the impulse to complain, to accuse, to blame, to broadcast your annoyance. Instead of spilling this negativity into the world, you hold it, not with repression, not pushing it into darkness, but with awareness. You allow yourself to experience the full heat of the emotion inside while remaining silent and watchful. You do not let it possess your mouth. This is not weakness, this is inner work. Such efforts create shocks in the machinery. Your mechanical life runs in cycles, like a wheel. Left to itself, it repeats. You wake You perform routines. You think the same thoughts. You feel the same emotions. You enact the same conflicts. You distract yourself in the same ways. There is variation in content, but the pattern is the same. To break this circle, shocks are needed. A shock can come from outside, a loss, an illness, a betrayal, a crisis. In such moments, your ordinary routines are disrupted. You may glimpse your vulnerability, your mortality, the fragility of your plans. For a brief time, you may feel more awake. But if you do not know how to use these shocks, you quickly fall back into sleep, seeking to rebuild the same patterns, only slightly rearranged. The work I speak of requires inner shocks, voluntarily created interruptions of your mechanical flow. One simple form of shock is the act of stop. Set yourself the task. At certain moments in the day, for example, each time you pass through a doorway, or each time you look at a clock, or each time your phone buzzes, you will silently say, stop inside and freeze, just for a few seconds. You halt your movement as much as possible. You do not continue the gesture you were making. You do not complete the facial expression. You suspend speech, if possible. In that brief pause, you direct your attention inward and outward simultaneously. You sense your body, you hear the sounds, you see the surroundings, and you remember yourself, I am here. Then you allow movement to continue. Such a small practice, repeated many times, begins to pierce holes in the seamless fabric of your dreaming. You start to see that most of what you do is automatic. This seeing is a shock. Another shock is to do an action in a way that is exactly opposite to your habit while remaining aware. If you habitually eat rapidly, you decide to eat slowly, tasting each bite, observing your impulse to hurry, refusing to obey it. If you habitually speak first in a group, you decide to remain silent for a time, observing the discomfort that arises. If you usually avoid a certain task, you go straight toward it, watching the resistance. These shocks are not for self-torture, they are for awakening. But why should you awaken? Why put yourself through discomfort, discipline, and the dismantling of illusions? Why not remain as you are, relative? Well, functional, moderately comfortable, occasionally entertained, because whether you realize it or not, your present way of living is a slow, unnecessary death. You are wasting your life. Not in the moral sense, not according to any external standard, but in the most intimate sense. You are squandering the possibility of becoming what you could be. Every day that passes in mechanical sleep is a day in which the seed of a higher self in you remains dormant. It does not grow automatically with time. It must be fed by conscious impressions, conscious efforts, conscious sufferings. Without these, it stays a seed, then withers and is lost. Moreover, your sleep is not only your problem. You are part of a larger system, a larger drama. You imagine that your thoughts and feelings are private, that your inner states have no consequence beyond your own small life. This is another illusion. Your mechanical reactions, your uncontrolled emotions, your scattered attention, all of this energy does not vanish. It is food for forces you do not see. The universe is not random. It is structured in levels, densities of energy and consciousness. On each level, beings feed and are fed upon, not only physically but energetically. The unconscious suffering of human beings, their chronic anxiety, resentment, jealousy, despair, their endless cycles of conflict, generates a certain kind of subtle substance that sustains larger processes. You are, in your sleep, a producer of this food. This is not punishment, it is function. In your present state, you fulfill this function blindly. But there is another possibility. Conscious effort, conscious suffering, conscious love create a different kind of substance, a finer energy that can serve a higher purpose. When you remember yourself, when you struggle to remain present in the face of inertia, when you restrain negativity and act from a deeper intelligence, you participate in another economy, another exchange. Your awakening is not only for you, it has value beyond what you can imagine. There exist higher levels of being, higher centers of intelligence. They are not hallucinations, not fantasies, but real structures of consciousness that can, under certain conditions, become active in a human organism. At present, these higher centers are latent in you like a magnificent instrument that you never learned to play. They are waiting, but they cannot awaken in a chaotic, fragmented mechanical house. In order for a higher self to be born and stabilized in you, a preparatory work is required. The lower centers must be disciplined, harmonized, purified. The crowd of eyes must be observed, understood, and gradually organized around a central aim. Personality must be put in its place, still functioning, but no longer ruling. Essence must be fed and grown. This is not accomplished by reading, by agreeing, by believing. It is accomplished by a long, sustained practice of inner work in the midst of ordinary life. Do not imagine that you must flee to a monastery or isolate yourself from the world. On the contrary, your life exactly as it is, your work, your relationships, your family, your conflicts, your boredom, your anxieties, is the perfect material for this work. Each situation you face is an opportunity to see your mechanicality and to practice presence. When you are at work and a colleague irritates you, that is material. You can either react mechanically by complaining, gossiping, suppressing, fantasizing, or you can use the moment. You can observe the surge of emotion, the tightening in your body, the thoughts that rush in, and at the same time remember yourself. You can allow the discomfort to be there without acting it out. You can speak or remain silent from a more conscious place. When you feel overwhelmed, lost, unable to make a decision, that is material. You can either drown in anxiety, spiraling in thoughts, or you can pause, breathe, return attention to your body, sense the ground beneath you, and ask from a quiet place what is actually needed now. You can watch your inner voices arguing, pulling you in different directions, and recognize these are many eyes, not a single unified will. When you are alone, tempted to escape into endless scrolling, compulsive entertainment, empty fantasies, that is material. You can either indulge and strengthen your sleep, or you can use the temptation itself as a bell that calls you to awaken. You can turn off the device for a time, sit quietly, and face your restlessness. In each of these ordinary moments, there is a crossroads to sleep or to work. Do not expect this to be comfortable. It will not be. Your personality will resist. It will say, this is too much, too extreme, unnecessary. Life is hard enough. Why add more struggle? It will dress this resistance in elegant arguments, in spiritual phrases, in talk of self-care and acceptance. It will try to turn this work into another concept, another identity to decorate yourself with. You must become ruthless toward these inner lies. Ruthless does not mean cruel. It means unsentimental, clear-eyed. When you catch yourself justifying your sleep, you do not hate yourself. You simply do not believe the justification. You see it as part of the machinery, and you return to the work. You will experience setbacks. You will forget. You will fall into long stretches of identification. You will indulge in negativity, and then wake up later ashamed. You will make efforts and then suddenly abandon them. All of this is expected. What matters is that you do not use these failures as excuses to give up. Each failure is a chance to observe another part of the machine. Gradually, very gradually, something begins to shift. Through repeated acts of self-observation, you start to know your fragmentation intimately. You see the same types of I appearing in different situations. You recognize certain patterns. An I that always complains when things are difficult. An I that seeks admiration. An I that hates being criticized. An I that wants to disappear. An I that dreams of sudden salvation without effort. You see them, and seeing them weakens their absolute grip. Through repeated moments of self-remembering, you strengthen a subtle thread of continuity. In the beginning, it is only moments, scattered like stars across a dark sky. But as you persist, these moments become more frequent, and a faint constellation begins to form. You begin to have the sense, however fragile, that there is something in you that is the same, whether you are at work, at home, alone, in company, in pleasure, in pain. Through intentional suffering, you burn away certain coarse habits. The compulsion to immediately escape discomfort weakens. You become able to remain present in situations that once overwhelmed you. This does not mean you no longer feel pain. It means you learn to bear it consciously. Through the balancing of your centers, by paying attention to your body, your feelings, and your thoughts together, you become less lopsided. The intellect learns to serve rather than rule. The emotions become less chaotic, more sensitive, capable of finer responses. The moving instinctive center becomes less sloppy, more precise, more obedient to your aim. At certain moments, there may appear in you a new kind of experience, a lucid stillness, an inner alignment in which body, heart, and mind are present together, quiet, attentive. In such moments, the word I has a different taste. It is not inflated, not imaginary. It is simple, calm, undeniable. Do not cling to these moments. Do not try to reproduce them by force. They are glimpses of what could become a settled state, but they are fragile. Your task is to continue the work, not to chase experiences. Understand that the emergence of a higher self in you is not guaranteed. You have been given the raw materials, a body, centers, the capacity for attention, the possibility of consciousness. You have also been given now a shock of information, the knowledge that you are asleep, fragmented, mechanical, and that another way is possible. What you do with this shock is your responsibility. I will speak plainly. From this moment, you can no longer claim ignorance. You may choose to forget these words, to dismiss them as too extreme, too abstract, too uncomfortable. You may return to your routines, your distractions, your comforts. You may surround yourself with affirmations that tell you you are fine as you are, that you need only relax and be yourself. You may drown the faint alarm with noise. You are free to do this, but you will know somewhere in the quietest part of you that you heard a different call and turned away. Or you can accept the burden of awakening. To accept this burden means to take on a new kind of inner labor every day without waiting for ideal conditions. It means that today, not tomorrow, you begin to observe yourself seriously. It means that today, not someday, you set one or two concrete experiments and carry them out. For example, begin with this. First task, for the next 24 hours, make it your aim to remember yourself as often as you can, not abstractly but concretely. Use simple reminders. Whenever you pass through a doorway, whenever your phone lights up, whenever you sit down or stand up, let these be signals. Each time, pause inwardly for a second or two, sense your body from head to toe, feel your breathing, notice your thoughts and feelings in that instant, and in the midst of this, affirm quietly, I am here. Then continue what you were doing. You will forget. Many doorways will pass unnoticed. Many notifications will happen in complete sleep. Several times a day, you will suddenly realize, I have been lost for hours. Do not indulge in self-judgment. Simply start again. This task is not about success. It is about seeing the facts of your attention. Second task, choose one small mechanical habit and go against it consciously for a set period. If you habitually eat while distracted, choose one meal where you will eat in complete presence. No screens, no reading, no conversation. You will observe every movement, your hand reaching, your mouth chewing, your swallowing, the arising of taste, the impulse to hurry. You will remain as the witness for the duration of the meal. If you habitually complain aloud about minor inconveniences, choose a few hours during which you will not voice any complaint. When the impulse comes, you will feel it fully, but you will not let it escape your mouth. You will observe the tension this creates. You will endure it.